Oh my god, new expansion! The Madman! The new expansion has just been announced to Hearthstone, Rise of Shadows.
I have brought you all here, and now you're all in. It is time to begin.
Rise of Shadows is going to follow 5 major villains in Hearthstone history: Madame Lazul, Hagatha, King Togwaggle, Dr. Boom, and the leader of them all, Archthief Rafaam, banding together to form the League of Evil. And we're going to follow their story for an entire year because this is going to be the first time Hearthstone ever has a year-long story. We're going to see the new mechanics come in. There's going to be lackeys for these group of villains to boss around. There's going to be schemes. They're diabolical schemes. And there's going to be twin spells. And we're going to see examples of each in the revealed cards. 135 new cards coming April 9th. Let's get right into the cards. Archvillain Rafaam! Now in Warlock. 7 mana, 7/8 with Taunt. Battle Cry, replace your hand and deck with legendary minions. And you're going to find that there's going to be this theme, because these are villains throughout the last 5 years of Hearthstone. There's going to be throwbacks to cards throughout the last 5 years of Hearthstone as well. We've seen this text before: replace your hand and deck with legendary minions. That was on the Golden Monkey. But Archvillain Rafaam lets you skip that entire Elise into map to the Golden Monkey into Golden Monkey. Just replace your hand and deck with legendary minions. 7 mana, 7/8 Taunt is already a decent stat line. I mean, wow. Replacing your hand and deck with legendary minions. Those things are big. This looks like a great direction for zoo types or maybe mid-range warlock types of decks to go. You play out your early game cards. In the late game, they would normally be pretty weak, but Archvillain Rafaam is here to save you at the end. They turn into potentially big late game minions for you to be able to finish off your opponent. Perhaps run a few more situational cards, because if they're no good, you can always Archvillain Rafaam them away into legendaries. Oof, what an exciting leader of the League of Evil to just get started with. Druid gets the Force Aid 8 mana spell. Twin spell. Summon 5/2/2 Treants. The first time you cast it, you get 5/2/2 Treants. That's a pretty good deal for 8 mana. Casual 10/10 worth of stats for 8. But not just once, you'll be able to do it twice. Once you cast the Force Aid, you're going to still have the Force Aid, and it's going to be castable again for another 5/2/2 Treants. That's such a big spell, and it's almost like Twin Spell could be valued as draw a card. In this case, it's not one big threat, but 2 big threats. And the Force Aid is going to set Druid down a path of perhaps Treant synergy that's already been set up in the past, and the Force Aid could be a big factor in getting a bunch of Treants and then buffing these Treants, or getting Treant buffs with it. Twin Spell is similar to Echo in the sense that they're spells that you can cast multiple times, but obviously with Echo, there's no way you would be able to cast an 8 mana spell twice. The nice thing about Twin Spell is you cast it, and then you don't have to cast it this turn. You don't even have to cast it again next turn. Feel free to cast the spell again 5 turns from now. So what a big finisher for Druid indeed. And not just one finisher, but 2 finishers. Gonna have to see the rest of Druid cards to see if we can actually make a good Treant deck out, but this looks like a decent start. And here we see the Shaman scheme. For 5 mana, deal 1 damage to all minions, upgrades each turn. That means when you draw Hagatha's scheme, the turn that you draw it, it's just deal 1 damage to all minions. Yeah, that's pretty terrible. It's like a 5 mana whirlwind. But this is a scheme that gets powerful real quick, and it seems like it's one of the cards that you would want to keep in your opening hand. If you were to keep it on your opening hand, then by the time it gets to turn 5, you would deal 5 damage to all minions for 5 mana, which is a very, very strong deal indeed. Why stop at 5 damage to all minions? Just wait 15 turns, lol, and then you have 5 mana, deal 16 damage to all minions. Looks like a great card to put into a control Shaman deck. I'll just throw an idea out there right now. Spirit of the Frog plus Hex means that you can fetch Hagatha's scheme. Nice. Schemes grow in power each turn, and there's going to be 5 of them. Each of the leaders of the League of Evil are going to have their own scheme, and these are going to generally be in favor of control type decks that do plan to stay around for a while. I like this idea. It's going to be an internal fight with myself in terms of, do I want to play this scheme now? Wait, but I can get more value if I just wait a turn. And then you wait a turn, and then wait a second, you get even more value if I wait one more turn. So just a question of when to hatch this scheme. This rogue card shows off the Lackey mechanic. 3 mana, evil miscreant, 1/5 stats, combo, add 2 random lackeys to your hand.
Oh, up to no good.
All the lackeys are essentially expendable henchmen. They're always 1 mana 1/1s. Ethereal Lackey discovers a spell. Faceless Lackey summons a random 2-cost minion with it. Goblin Lackey gives a friendly minion +1 attack and rush. Kobold Lackey deals 2 damage. And Witchy Lackey transforms a friendly minion into one that costs 1 more. So essentially they're all cards that are worth about 1 mana in terms of if they were a spell, but they also give you a 1/1 with them, making them a little bit more efficient than a 1 mana card normally is worth. So then you can kind of value a Lackey then, right? It's more efficient than your usual 1 mana card, which means it's a better than average 1 mana card. Does that mean that a Lackey is worth a card? Well, usually you don't really want to be drawing 1 mana cards on any turn that's not 1 mana, but they're just kind of nice and helpful. So is it worth a card? Maybe it's worth valuing at 0.75 of a card. Hard to say at this point in time. But if we value lackeys at 0.75 of a card, or 75% of a card, then this evil miscreant for 3 mana and 6 stats worth of value is drawing you 1.5 cards. And that's really powerful. Looks to be a reasonable value card for some sort of a value mid-range deck. And who knows, maybe lackeys will work with other things too. Looks like a good lackey generator though. Also, since the evil miscreant here is a rogue, we can kind of see that Togwoggle is going to be the rogue leader. And we're going to see the priest leader, Madame Lazzle, casting her spell here, Forbidden Words. 0 mana, spend all your mana, destroy a minion with that much attack or less. Finally a way for priest to deal with 4 attack cards. Just pay 4 mana, destroy that minion. Maybe it's a 4/10 Twilight Drake. Sure, I'd pay 4 mana to destroy that. You're often paying at least the same amount of mana as the opponent paid the threat to be. There's a whole bunch of 2 mana 2 attack guys, 1 mana 1 attack guys, 3 mana 3 attack guys, 4 mana 4 attack guys. Where it might get more efficient is there's like 9 mana 4 attack guys who you can just answer Forbidden Words for 4 mana. So it could be efficient, it's also just extremely flexible. Speaking of good targets for Forbidden Words, here's a Mage Legendary, Calicos, 10 mana, 4/12 dragon. Your first spell each turn costs 0. Battlecry, discover a spell. So of course, when you play Calicos, you're hoping to discover a massive spell, such as Flame Strike. In which case, it's just a 10 mana 4/12, which has a battle cry effectively of deal 4 damage to all enemies, which is amazing. It doesn't have to be a Flame Strike, of course. It could just be a card draw spell. Maybe there will be a few of those. And it doesn't have to be the spell you discover that you cast. You could have a Pyroblast sitting in your hand, and then play the Calicos, and then also Pyroblast your opponent while you're at it. Note, and I know a lot of people are going to be making this mistake, I've actually made it already. Do not play Coin Calicos if you are hoping to play a spell that costs 0. You're going to see all sorts of people make that misplay. On the neutral front, we've got Spellword Jeweler, a 3 mana 3/4 Battlecry. Your hero can't be targeted by spells or hero powers until your next turn. Throws a wrench in the opponent's combo plans by denying them the ability to wombo combo you for a turn. Maybe that's the key turn that you need in order to win the next turn. Cool to see a card printed with decent stats that throws a wrench into combo plans. Hope to see more combo disruption. And finally, we end on a spicy one. Chef Nomi, well-beloved World of Warcraft character who burns the food, pictured well here. I think the background is also burning. It's burnt! It's on fire! Chef Nomi is a 7-mana 6/6, which has a very, very fiery battle cry. Battle cry, if your deck is empty, summon 6/6/6 Grease Fire Elementals. 42 worth of stats. Just have your deck be empty. So, of course, Chef Nomi really encourages you to come up with some creative ways to speed these out, so you'll want to draw out your deck very fast. Or maybe, if the meta turns into control versus control, Chef Nomi could be that awesome ace card. It's kind of similar to Dragon Caller Alana in the sense that in Big Spell, near the end of the game, you would cast Dragon Caller Alana and then call upon a huge amount of big fellas. Well, Chef Nomi skips the requirement to play big spells. All you have to do is play him near the end. Going to be interesting to see if any specific decks are built that revolve around Chef Nomi. So, bon appetit. I'm looking forward to the feast of new card information that we'll get over the following weeks leading to the release of Rise of Shadows. Rise of Shadows is of course going to accompany the big rotation of the Year of the Mammoth cards, so it's going to be really evil. Like me.